Sometimes it feels like every second of my life is filled with some kind of noise. If I'm not watching a YouTube video or catching up on Instagram or listening to music or listening to a podcast or reading a book or any of the things that we do that are consuming input, there always seems to be some kind of noise. And if there's a moment where there isn't some kind of input, some kind of noise, I find myself picking up my phone with no particular reason. There's nothing I was going to do. I just pick it up because I want some more input. And I know I've addressed this on my channel a few times before, where I've recognized that I can tend to get in these states of mind where I just want input. And when I get in those states of mind, it's very difficult to pause and be able to have output, like making a YouTube video. And I think I also mentioned that often on my days that I had set aside a year or two ago, of like, okay, I'm gonna film on this day. Often on those days, I would not even feel like filming because I had just been consuming too much and had gone into that consumption state where I just didn't even have anything to share. I didn't have that mindset to be able to create and express. It was all very just sit back and consume, which is honestly really scary. And there have also been many times when, after a few days of just input, I feel so frustrated and so just done with it all that I have to spend like an entire day in complete silence in order to tune out all that noise and just not feel so overwhelmed anymore. And then after that, then I suddenly start having these things to share when I actually take time to let myself think. When I don't put on a YouTube video while I'm eating lunch, when I don't listen to music while I'm folding my laundry, if I let myself just have silence during those moments in time, those different tasks, my mind will start to wander, and that is when I have my best ideas. That is also why, like, in the shower or when I'm falling asleep, I have these good ideas. It's because my brain is finally having a chance to slow down and is not constantly bombarded with this input. The interesting thing is, when I'm in that consumption state and I've just been having way too much input for hours or days or weeks, when I'm in those silent spaces like taking a shower or falling asleep, my brain is still buzzing and I don't have those ideas, or my mind doesn't wander as much because it's just replaying all the noise. And today has been one of those days where I have felt the need for just silence. And sure enough, after enough silence, my brain started to kick back into gear, and I came up with the idea to film this video and talk about it as I'm experiencing it in real time. It's just so scary sometimes to realize the greater ramifications of this reality. Not to get too political, too weird, I don't think it's a coincidence that there is so much media, so much input to be had, so much desire for our attention. Because if we just are constantly consuming and accepting the narrative that is fed to us, we're not going to have independent thought. We're not going to have creative thought. We're not going to want to put out our own thoughts, beliefs, ideas into the world because we'll just be in this accepting input state. I saw a reel the other day of this young man wanting to start an attention revolution of boycotting the media, not letting them steal our attention, steal our time, steal our creativity. And while I don't condone having a revolution of sorts, I do think that his sentiment is valid, that we need to take back our attention. We are allowing other people's random voices way too much airtime. Even just the random reels or YouTube shorts or TikToks or whatever. It's just so much garbage. Emma Chamberlain herself. I watched an interview with Emma Chamberlain. She said that she doesn't have TikTok because there's nothing worthwhile on there. It's all just ridiculous garbage. I don't remember exactly what she said, but she's like, yeah, I don't have TikTok. It's literally made just to keep you addicted, keep you scrolling, and there's nothing worth watching on there. And I was like, wow, if she thinks that, like, she's not wrong. She's a YouTuber herself. She would know what she's talking about. But it just continues to baffle me day in and day out how much random content is out there to be had, to be watched. And speaking from a Christian perspective for a moment here, this might just be random content, but there's always things in it that are not good, things that are going against what we believe. And it's so easy to just like not acknowledge that. But that is like, every time we see it and there's not like this reaction of like, oh, that's not good, it's numbing our response to it. It's making it not as evil in our own minds. And that's not great. I personally try not to swear, but if you're scrolling through reels, there's so much language in there, like it's unavoidable. And if I am allowing that into my brain and not like checking it every time that it comes up, like, oh, nope, that's not good. Like, it just becomes, it doesn't have a direct consequence or discipline when it comes up. So then it's so easy for it to come out of my mouth because I haven't like created this solid line of like, no, I don't want to do this. And that is just one example, but there's so many other standards that are just not mainstream anymore. And if we are constantly consuming this content that is normalizing these behaviors and these ideas and these things, how can we expect ourselves to continue to believe that they're wrong when we're letting this narrative just into our brains all the time? Anyways, that kind of rabbit trailed where I was not intending it to, but I think it was good that I went there. The point is, what we give our attention to ultimately shapes us, and we need to be really careful who and what we're giving our time and attention to. Not only because of good and evil, but because you become what you consume. And if we're wanting to be certain types of people, we can't just be consuming content that is promoting things that are not that. So I don't know about you, but I've been feeling lately like I just want to throw my phone away. Because there is just such a waste of time and such a waste of energy, and keeps me away from so many other things that I want to do, need to do, and I just get so fed up with it because I'm like, I'm literally wasting my life. Like, the things that I do on my phone, 90% of them are not helping my quality of life or my future or anything at all. And I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my time? This is not helping me in any way, shape, or form. So I don't know about you, but I want to quiet the noise. I want to take back my attention, take back my life, and not be addicted to this tiny little screen that gives me access to, yes, a lot of good, but also a lot of evil. A lot of technology was created specifically to addict us, and it's working, and we're not strong enough to overcome it, to fight against it. So we have to set boundaries.